on your journey. I would like to know, when did you first realize that something was not right? What are some of the symptoms that you might have experienced, and how the PCOS journey, began with you?
It has been a very long journey, but the first time I realized I had PCOS, I mean, I didn't know it was PCOS, but it was my first symptom, which was when I was 9 years old, and
wow.
I got my first period.
Yeah.
I bled. I mean, everything was fine until, it wasn't fine. I bled for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months.
The first time?
And counting, yes, for the first time at about 9 years old. I mean, we knew that there was something wrong, but we did not know what it was exactly. There was not enough information or awareness about it. Even the hospitals, they were like, we don't quite know what's wrong with her.
Wow.
But we think that it's because she's quite young and her body is not quite adjusting properly to the periods. There were no answers, right? And this was, it began a cycle of going from one hospital to the other, one traditional, this to the other, right?
Wow.
And they started putting me on birth control pills at 9 years old.
Birth control?
As a child. I started gaining so much weight. I was depressed. It basically ruined my childhood. I was dealing with periods that were not just stopping. I was bleeding for so long. And then I knew that I just could not continue living this way. So I started reading up on it. Some years later, when I was growing up and starting to understand that this is an actual problem. So I would start Googling, what does it mean when I'm bleeding for so long? When you don't really know what is wrong with you and you're just Googling your symptoms, right? And then I saw PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, once on Google, and I was like, God forbid. It looked so scary, and I was 18, right? It was really scary, but that was the first time I read about it.
That is quite traumatic
You know
for
what?
a 9-year-old to go through all of that. It is quite traumatic, because for so many women, getting a diagnosis usually takes years. And in fact, I must say, a lot of women still do not know if they have PCOS or not.
Even up to 70% of women with PCOS are still undiagnosed.
What was that process like for you? It must have been so traumatic for you at 9, when your mates are, moving on with life, they're in school, they were friends, they're learning, and you're going up and down in hospitals. What was it like for you?
It was traumatic, but it's still understating to say it was a whole mental cycle of, is there something wrong with me? Am I cursed? Am I possessed? What is wrong with me exactly? And not having answers. And that's why I took to Google to start looking for those answers. But in 2022, I finally decided to, go and get a proper diagnosis. When I started getting sense of gynecology, I went to